Welcome back to the food truck. Last time, we had a rather tense ending to the episode, so tense that I forgot to do an outro, and what am I saying? I didn't forget. I thought it would be really funny if I just didn't do an outro. Just like ending off on this screen. Oh, please forgive me. Please forgive me. But moving right along, I think it's time for me to hydrate. Ding. And move right back into this. So I want to point out something very quickly here. So whatever this tendril shadow evil monster thing is, was able to pull Raven and Chase in two different people, right? Plus Jenna. So three people in total. This thing was pulling her like up the stovepipe, which that would have been bad. That would have been like the earlier Stephen King's It movie where like he sucks the kid, like it sucks the kid into like the pipe. But then suddenly Carl comes in and is able to yoink. uh, I may be saying this wrong, but as the kids these days would say, he hit that yoinky spelunky, and he was able to just yank her right out. So the descendants of John Begay and James Hendricks worked together to defeat or overcome an obstacle. That he's like, I'm a little bit of a silly husky. I got a smooth brain. But that did not get past me. Carl waves a hand at me, rolling over in onto his side as he gasps breathlessly. Jenna sits next to him, holding her hands up. I can already see some nasty swelling under the fur covering her wrists. I wince. Jenna, are you okay? I'm fine. She's not looking at her wrists, though. Instead, it's at an ash-smudged folded piece of paper in her hands. From the bits that aren't covered, I can see that the paper is yellowed and ancient-looking. Not at all like the clearly photocopied newspaper we'd seen earlier. Jenna looks down at it, standing up. I hear a groan next to me and turn to Carl. Can't go a day without getting beat up. Oh, buddy, he is so accident prone. I rub his shoulder as I look down at him, smiling. Wow, that was kind of heroic. And see that right there. That's what I was talking about. That's why I said for the ghost, like for him to resist the ghost. He can do it on his own. He can answer the call to action on his own. He's like Rock. For those that don't remember, there was an episode of SpongeBob where Gary was entered into a snail race. And SpongeBob was a toxic, abusive, pushing people too hard coach. And then I think Squidward also had a snail, and then Patrick brought a rock. And basically, the plot of the episode goes that Gary crashes Burns, and Squidward's snail comes over to make sure that he's okay. Meanwhile, haha, you thought Patrick was a stupid, but he actually had one of the Arizona migrating rocks that he brought to this competition. So when everybody looks back, oh, look at that, Rock won because he did it on his own time. He knew he could do it, and he had a very loving, and very supportive person behind him. You think so? Yeah, all that, all at the last second too. Carl rubs his knees. Would have gotten there earlier if I hadn't tripped down the stairs like twice. He stares at the stove. What the hell was that? I look, too, into the yawning black hole and shiver. I don't know, it was all black and smoky, like what we saw before. Think it'll come out of there? Raven suddenly steps in to lift up the stove door, twisting the handle to lock it. He yelps as he does it, jumping back as soon as the deed is done. I chuckle, then look back at Carl. Over his shoulder, Jenna walks into my field of vision. The paper is open in her hands, and she's holding it over the candle. All at once, I realize what she's trying to do. I choke on whatever I'm about to say next and leap up, awkwardly, on my injured ankle. Jenna! Luckily, Jenna's only about 5 feet away, and I practically fall into her, pushing her away from the candle. We both fall against the bench under the window. Jenna's hand smacks against my nose, bringing tears to my eyes. I yelp as she pulls her fingers in, raking lines of fire down my nose with her claws. There's a pounding in my ears, and I distantly register that the drums have started up again. She twists out from under me and pulls away from the bench. When the fuck did she get this strong? I numbly keep my grip on her wrist, and she spins, swinging me away from her. I lose my grip and stumble back, stepping wrong on my foot and rebending my ankle the exact same way I did last time. I yelp again, much more loudly this time, as I crumple to the ground. Carl swears and jumps over me at Jenna. Wait! I try to grab him by the hoof that's passing over me, but I miss miserably. As I sit up, I hear an ungodly bestial snarling, and I look up to see Carl wrestling and kicking and scratching Jenna to the ground. That's fucking it! He pins her there while she writhes under him, trying to scratch at his face. Stop it, guys! Raven is still standing off to the side, his paws on his head, pulling at his ears. I crawl over to their writhing bodies, one eye wincing shut as each movement sends a lightning bolt through my leg. I grab at Jenna's hands, forcing them down above her head. Jenna, stop! Jenna suddenly kicks one of her legs up between Carl's legs as he knees over. Fuck! He crumples all over on top of Jenna, lying on her legs, as he tries to pin his thighs together. I look down into Jenna's face. Stop it! What the hell are you doing? Jenna snarls up at me, but it's softer this time. Her struggles die down a little, and after holding my gaze for about 10 seconds, she looks away. I relax my grip a bit, gasping as I try to rearrange my foot so there's not so much pressure on my ankle. I don't know. I pull the piece of paper out from her limp fingers and push away from her, waiting to see if she'll come after me again. She doesn't. Instead, just laying there with her hands above her head, staring at the ceiling. Raven. Raven, still with his fingers twisted around his ears, looks over at me. Yeah? Take Jenna upstairs, take a nap or something. I think we need to be kept separate for now. As Raven hurries over to Jenna, Carl rolls off with a groan. Raven's easily able to coax Jenna up off the floor, and they head upstairs. Jenna looking down at the floor all the while. I scoot over to Carl, holding my breath as each drag sends another spasm through my leg. He's on his side, hands between his legs, as he squints at the wall. Once he notices me, he looks at my ankle. Fuck, are you okay, man? No. I don't think so. I stepped on it wrong. Again. God damn it, what the fuck is her problem? It's okay. You're just gonna have to carry me again. Carl chuckles before letting out another softer groan. What did I say about getting beat up all the time? Are you okay? No, she kicked me in the fucking balls. I I sit quietly for a moment, the pain in my ankle fading into a more cold, electric stinging rather than molten lava. What the hell is going on? Why would she try to burn it? Carl is quiet for a moment, then he looks up at me again. You know, right? What? I could be wrong, since nothing makes sense here. What? You know this probably has something to do with James and John. I rub the back of my head again, feeling a bump swelling up already. Didn't we already figure that that's what's going on? I mean with Jenna. You know how James was sort of talking to me? Yeah, like he told you what to find. Yeah, but I think something is talking to Jenna too. John? Maybe. To make you guys fight? Weren't they lovers? Would there be a reason for John wanting the paper not to be read? Carl doesn't say anything, choosing to roll on his back and lay his hands out either side of him. I look down at the paper in my hand. Well, should I read this now or wait for the others? Might as well do it now. She might try something again. Alright, I'm gonna read it out loud then. Carl waves a hand in the air, indicating that I should go ahead. I scoot back against the wall so that I can stretch out my leg, then start reading. My dearest John, I've been hearing terrible things lately. They say that you've been accusing me of the most egregious monstrosities. I dare not believe them. In fact, I will not until I hear your words for myself. There must be some misunderstanding. Has one of my many political enemies pitted you against me? Are they using the missing native boys as a weapon against my campaign? I would not think that to be below them, but what concerns me most is you. Please visit me at my mansion. We must speak on this. I very much look forward to your company and believe that we can soon set this straight. Yours forever, James. I look up at Carl. He looks back at me. So, what do you think that means? Carl rubs inconspicuously at his crotch. I guess something went wrong between James and John. Well, yeah, but what? It sounds like he tried to frame him or something. I remember the newspaper clipping had somehow gone up in flames. Hey, that newspaper article that burned up said something about a Meseta kid that went missing. So, native kids were going missing, and John used it to get at James, somehow? Maybe. We still don't know if John was doing it. Anyway, James doesn't seem to know either. I wonder if we'd have been better off if Carl had a little bit of James in him right now. Mr. Game Developer, is that you telling me I made a wrong choice? Mr. Game Developer, is that you telling me that I made a wrong choice and I would have more information if I would have chosen the other option? I don't want to go back and, I don't want to go back and reload old saves to, see what the other path looks like, per se. Because to me that feels a little bit like cheating. It feels a little bit like cheating. But... God, alright. Hold on. Okay, so I did actually go backwards I did actually load the save before I told him to, uh, like stand on his own 2 feet rather than like deal with James. And I didn't even get to this part before I noticed some drastic changes that were flying by, and I'm like, okay, now I'm like, okay. I didn't want to at first, but now maybe I feel like I should because there is. This is one of those games where it's like, I don't know, what's a good game to compare this to? Near Automata? I'm not gonna call it anything other than that. By the way, if you don't like the way I say Automata, that's your problem, not mine. Yeah. But yeah, it feels so strange to know just how drastically that went and how quickly. Because I saw something about more aggressive canoodling. Let's just call it that. But moving on. At least then we'd have a better idea of what's going on. Maybe. Then again, the situation is so volatile with Jenna, I'm kind of glad we don't have another ghost to deal with in Carl. I look at the ram who's in the middle of pulling his waistband out to look at his junk. If James is still influencing Carl somehow, then he isn't really showing it. You okay? Carl abruptly lets go of the waistband, letting it snap back against his waist. Huh? Yeah. I'm fine. Are your, balls okay? Carl smiles ruefully. They look fine. Still kinda hurt. I think about making a joke about making them feel better, but that doesn't really feel appropriate right now. I'm actually more worried about Jenna, and not just because she can beat me up. Yeah, it seemed that at this point Jenna isn't really Jenna anymore. Should we talk to her about, I don't know, resisting it? It's worked for me. I look in the direction of the door as a loud click emanates from it. Carl's long ears perk up, and he follows my gaze. We both stare at it for a few seconds. Do you think? Maybe? Slowly, Carl gets to his feet, still a little bow-legged, and hobbles towards the door. Careful. I say a little apprehensive that something might open it from the other side. Carl doesn't say anything and slowly shuffles toward the door, pausing in front of it for a few seconds. Slowly he reaches out and rests a hand on the handle, then gives it a slight push. It shifts open a few inches. Carl looks back at me. I think we should get the others. We all stand around the door, Carl to my right, Raven to my left, and I am making sure there's maximum distance between Jenna and Carl. The door is still shifted open with a few inches, and the vertical black void it reveals is a little ominous. So, we just go through. I don't know, man. That's what we did last time, right? Yeah. I feel like the real question is if we really want to go through the door in the first place. Is it just going to lead to another terrible place where terrible things happen? I feel a void similar to the one I'm looking at open up in my chest. The thought of being trapped in a loop, going through door after door that leads to nothing but horror. Already this place was having an effect on Jenna, and that seems to be getting worse with each passing hour. How much longer can she keep it together? What did the letter say? I tense up. Anything she does now is putting me on edge, like I'm just waiting for her to lash out again. My hand drifts conspiratorially to my pocket where the folded up letter is. I glance to my right at Carl, but he's got his eyes on the door. A few things. Just more history stuff. About what? I decide at that moment that I have to lie. We need to keep Jenna or John calm if we want to get through this. I have a feeling that John wouldn't want to hear about James revealing what I assume are secrets. I didn't read anything about John trying to sabotage James in my research, but maybe that's what James is trying to tell us? So I shrug my shoulders, moving my hand away from my pocket. Stuff about the mine, how there wasn't enough of it to sustain the town. I'm worried Jenna might challenge my lie for whatever reason. She doesn't say anything, though, and Carl just keeps on staring straight ahead. Raven suddenly claps his hands together, making Carl and I jump. So, should we open it? Raven reaches out. Wait! The husky pauses and looks back at me expectantly, his black ears tipped forward. Should we do this? I mean, it's probably just gonna lead to another place where we have to find another thing. Yeah? So maybe we shouldn't keep going. I stumble over my words, trying to piece together my feelings and put them into sentences as I go. I just think that they're not really on our side, you know? I make an effort not to look at Jenna. So, if they're not, why are we doing what they want us to do? I realize I'm shaking now, and I make an effort to make my hands still. That's when I feel something big and warm slide into my right hand, and I glance down to find Carl holding it. He gives me a quick look and a small smile before returning his attention back to the door. What else should we do? Raven's tone isn't accusatory, but it is genuinely curious. I don't have a very good answer. Well, maybe we can find a way back somehow. Maybe we're still in Carl's house right now. Carl's house. That place seems like it's 1,000 miles away and years away at this point. Maybe we can, wake ourselves up somehow. Raven doesn't respond, and neither does anyone else. I realize how stupid I must sound. Sorry, I just feel like we're taking things too fast right now. Carl gives my hand another squeeze. Hey, dude. We're all a little scared. We can talk about things. Carl looks past me at Raven and Jenna. No rush. I'm actually starting to feel the same way. I feel my cheeks burn at the way I'm holding everyone back because I'm scared. So, when I had that guy in my head, I sort of felt like he was taking us somewhere. Carl runs a hand, not holding mine, up one of his horns, scratching at it. Like an endpoint, you know? Raven fidgets with one of his ears. Like a good endpoint? Yeah, man, I think so. That didn't sound very convincing. You can stay here if you want, Otter. It takes me a second to realize she's talking to me. Bro, you're the only otter here. Who else would she be talking to? Is she really that far gone? I just hope that if we reach the end of this, we can get her back somehow. Whoa, Jenna, that's crazy. I coughed to clear my throat. No, I'll go. I just wanted to think about it for a second. Have you thought about it then? Yeah. I look at Carl, but he only offers me a shrug and a comforting rub on the shoulder. Well, if that's all, then let's go. Jenna steps forward to grab the door handle, and I bite my tongue to keep from saying we should wait again. The door swings open to reveal blackness, just like the last time. Unlike the last time, though, there's a spot of flickering light in the distance. The fire. Everything's quiet right now, no drumbeat, but the darkness is unnatural. It's inky and thick, like it's alive. They keep bringing that up. They keep saying like those exact words. Inky, black, alive. Inky, black, alive. Inky, black, alive. It's I can't, like, I'm not complaining. That's just me noticing it and like pointing it out because I don't know what to make of it. Other than to take it literally that the darkness is alive. Because I mean, we started in the normal world, then we went down a layer, and while Chase was locked in the attic, and while Raven was locked in like the kitchen, it was dark. They couldn't see. The darkness was gonna get them. Then we went down another layer into this place, and it's gotten darker. And now they're in a place that has, a more profound control over two of them. It's it's inky, black, alive. And this tentacle monster is getting less and less hesitant to show itself. But we press on. I get the unnerving feeling that it's trying to eat the light from the fire. Maybe towards the fire. Jenna suddenly steps forward, and just like that, she's swallowed by the darkness. Jenna, wait! She ignores me. Carl gives his shoulders another shrug. Well, she's being, persuaded. I guess she probably knows where she's going. I see her form pass in front of the firelight a few times, then she's gone. Alright, here we go. Despite his nervousness, Raven still stands cheerful about stepping into oblivion. You ready, dude? I look over at Carl, and he's gazing back at me warmly, an encouraging smile on his face. Dude, I'm reaching my limit too. If we have to do another place like this. His ears droop, looking almost defeated. I nod, swallowing as quietly as I can. He pulls me into his side by my hand and wraps my arm around his shoulder. Just stay close, okay? Yeah. I step forward with him, and immediately we're immersed in blackness. Not only do things go dark visually, but the change is physical too. I don't think if it's all in my head. I don't know if it's all in my head, but I feel heavier. Like the darkness is pushing down on my shoulders. It's colder too, to the point where I can feel the heat radiating off of Carl's body when I brush up against him. Doing okay, man? Yeah. You? Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. The going is slow, and not just because of my injured and probably broken. Dude, again! You, from mid shin down, you are a blueberry on that leg. I'm just calling it like I see it, I'm a whale biologist. The ground is uneven and rocky, like we're outside, walking in the desert. Which I realize is exactly what we're doing when we walk straight into what feels like a sagebrush. Carl thrashes around with the hand not holding on to me, and we're able to sort of stumble around it. Where the hell are we? I mutter as I stub my toe painfully on a rock. Outside? Yeah, but where outside? The desert, right? So, do you think we're still in Echo? Carl's quiet for a moment. Maybe, but not really. I mean, I don't think we can just walk to our houses. I wonder if maybe all the others, TJ, Leo, and Flynn, are out there too, in the darkness. I want to call out, but I'm too nervous that that's going to attract something to us. I still remember the black figure dancing around the fire we're walking towards at this very moment. We're close enough now that I'm starting to be able to make out Carl in the darkness. I look back at the house to see how far we've gone. All that I can make out now are two rectangles of light. One for the door we came out, one for the kitchen window. In the latter, a dark figure stands framed by the faint light inside. I squint, not really sure of what I'm seeing. Then it moves, disappearing from the window. I stop walking and Carl stops with me, looking back over his shoulder. What? I don't. Did one of the others go back? The black figure appears again, this time in the doorway of the house. I don't even have time to react to that before it steps forward and the door swings shut with a distant snap. Oppressive blackness takes its place. I grab onto Carl more tightly. What the hell? My mind flashes back to the black thing I'd seen crawling out of the wardrobe. Come on. I nudge into Carl's side and trying to get him to hurry along while resisting the urge to try and run on my twisted ankle. I'm realizing that it might come to that. Raven? Jenna? I call out into the darkness ahead of us, wanting to warn them. Over our ragged breathing, though, there's dead silence all around us. Except for a drum beat. And with that, we'll call today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night, guys.